So I want to come back on my channel and basically do this video. As you guys can see by the title, I got weight loss surgery. It is such a relief to say that, but I just felt like it was time for me to finally say it out loud. People have always asked me, how did I lose the weight? How did I lose the weight so fast? Why can't I eat? Why do I eat so little? And why I don't eat carbs? And here's your answer. I got weight loss surgery. Honestly, it wasn't a secret, but I feel like I was hiding something in a sense. I just felt like it wasn't anyone's business, other than those that I decided to share. So January 2017, I had the gastric sleeve, and it's literally actually January 3rd, 2017. And that was like right after my 19th birthday. Leading up to the surgery, I had to do a lot of follow-ups and like pre-op appointments. So the nutritionist, I had to go see, I had to get an endoscopy. I had to get an ultrasound, I think. A lot of blood work. I had to check in with my doctor like every month for like the 6 months leading up to the surgery. It was just a lot, especially you just have to go through all of that for insurance clearance, and then also for them to make sure that nothing's going to go wrong when you are on that table. So this video is going to be all over the place because my thoughts are kind of all over the place. Anyway, the thing about the gastric sleeve, they cut a part of your stomach off so they make it smaller. I believe that is how you explain it. I'm not going to get into more details of it because I really don't know. Although they did not cut open my entire stomach, they actually cut 6 little holes basically, and they used a machine to basically do what they had to do. And actually I have the scars, but you really can't see it. Probably the scar here is probably the only one you can see. There's one on my belly button, and the rest of them are very, very faint. That was the process leading up. It was pretty smooth. My mom actually got the surgery about 5 months before me, which made me and her and my dad comfortable for me to even get the surgery because she had experience with it. Her recovery was a-okay. Yeah, so that leads me into my recovery experience, which wasn't, I mean, I came out, but it wasn't as smooth as my mom's. So first, when you go into surgery, you have to remove all your jewelry. So I literally had to take out my tragus piercing. Thankfully, I had that for years. So years leading up to, oh no, I might have only had it for like 2 or 3 years leading up to the surgery. So I had to take that out, and it was like praying that that wouldn't close. And then I also had my nose pierced at that time, so I had to take that out, which that ended up closing after the surgery. So I went into surgery, came out, and like when you come out, you're really gassy, it's like uncomfortable, you're groggy, whatever. So that was fine. Like I knew that was going to happen after surgery. They prepare you for that, and since they are in your stomach, they have to pump your stomach basically, so that's why you're so gassy. So it was maybe like the day after they were going to discharge me. I was kind of in a rush to be discharged, only because I didn't, like, the hospital was not comfortable to me at all. It was freezing in there, and every night they wanted to come in and basically take your vitals and stuff, and I'm just like, y'all, can y'all let me sleep, please? So just the hospital just wasn't a comfortable environment for me. So I was like, okay, when can I go home? My mom went home literally the next day after her surgery. So I'm like, okay, like, let me go. They were trying to get me to stay, but I was like, no, I'm good, like, let's go. I just had to, in order to leave, you had to drink like 6, like, you know, the medicine caps, like the medicine syrup caps. I had to drink like 6 cups of those, of like some chicken broth or something, vegetable broth, I forget what it was, and water. Getting those liquids down was extremely hard. After the surgery, you're not hungry at all, and really you're not supposed, the idea of the gastric sleeve is you're not supposed to be hungry, and I wasn't hungry. So me trying to, or I didn't have an appetite as well, and then me trying to force liquids down, that it wasn't good. Like literally, for food tastes good, and that's the reason why I eat it. I don't eat it because I'm like, that was my battle with growing up, being overweight. My battle was I ate food because I enjoyed it. I didn't eat food because I was hungry necessarily. I cannot be hungry anymore, and I can still be going back for seconds on the pot of rice. Like my grandmother's rice, come on, too good. So that was like my lifelong struggle. Like I was just eating to eat, not because I was hungry. So after the surgery, you just have to train yourself to kind of eat when you're hungry, basically. So after that, I went home. You have to make sure you're walking and stuff like that to get rid of all of the gas and to just really just speed up your recovery. At home, I had no energy. Once I got home, no energy. My mom was trying to get me up to walk and stuff. I couldn't. Like I physically could not. My stomach was killing me. I have really bad lower back pain, so that was just intensified, and I just couldn't do nothing. So my mom was like, no, like, you come on, get up, like you gotta get up. So she's like treating me as if like this was her just getting out of surgery, because she was a-okay out of surgery, and which I was completely surprised. I'm like, Mom, you moving like this? I was not moving like her. It was like one random day, probably like 3 or 4 days out of the hospital, and I was like, I just don't feel right. Like I really, like something's off. So I was like, Mom, like hand me the thermometer. So she gives me the thermometer. I think my temperature was like 101. I was like, okay, yeah, so I have a fever. Why do I have a fever? Like something's not right. So there's like Facebook groups of like people that have gotten the sleeve. So she like asked in there, she was like, okay, so if I'm post-op and I just got the surgery, like what to do, basically, like should we go to the hospital? And everyone commented like, yes, go to the hospital, like something's not right, go to the hospital. Could it be infection? Go to the hospital. So my mom was like, okay, we gotta go to the hospital. So we go to the hospital, they check me in and everything. I had to do like the pee sample. I did the pee sample, and then I was in the hospital. I had to stay in the hospital for like at least a week, and I was in there, and for days they couldn't figure out what was wrong. So actually, come to find out, my pee sample had blood in it, and I'm like, they were like, are you in period? I'm like, no, I just had my period. Come to find out, my period came back again after surgery, so now I'm dealing with cramps on top of surgery cramps, on top of back pain from the surgery, on top of period back pain. So I was literally having the worst time of my life. Like I've never experienced so much pain. I always think about like when I have kids, like I truly don't know what I'm gonna do, because they were giving me pain medicine, started with the M. I don't remember what it was called, but it still wasn't doing it. It was helping my stomach, but it wasn't helping my back. But since I wasn't in the hospital for my back issue, they would not give me a muscle relaxer, which I feel like if they gave me a muscle relaxer, it would have made my time there way better. I would have been a lot more comfortable, and the beds just weren't comfortable at all either. So I was just having a really hard time while I was there. Okay, so finally, I want to say maybe like 2 days before, not 2 days, I want to say I was in the hospital for maybe a week and a half. Like I truly don't remember how long it was, but it was like at least a week. And finally they figured out what the infection was. I had a UTI, which didn't make sense to me. I had a catheter in me during surgery and maybe like the day or two after surgery. So I think that's what it was. I don't recall a nurse coming over to clean me up after surgery or anything like that. And I couldn't take a shower after post-op for a little bit. So I really think that's what caused the UTI. I've never had a UTI in my life until then, and leave it to the hospital to give you some sort of infection. So ended up having UTI, so then I had to take antibiotics for that. I still couldn't eat at this time. They had me on no food. Well, I couldn't have solids after the surgery anyway, but I couldn't have any liquids or anything like that. I just had to basically take the antibiotics. So like that hospital stay was just so uncomfortable. And then I was a RA at this time, so I had RA training. I did this over winter break, and my mom didn't take long to recover. So we are thinking, okay, so we get it done beginning of January. You have 2 weeks before you have to go, well, a week and a half, 2 weeks before you have to go back to school. Literally, my whole post-op was a setback. We did not think that was going to happen. So then I had to, basically, they wanted me to stay in the hospital longer and just take it easy, and I was like, no. I have to get back to school for RA training. And that was the thing, like Simmons, like I wouldn't even say Simmons, like just Res Life, they put Res Life before your own life. Like I'm literally telling, like I'm too scared to not go back because of, like, say there were consequences if I didn't go back. Like, but I clearly should not have gone back as soon as I did. So my mom actually drives me back to school. I was supposed to take a flight, but I had to cancel that flight because my body was not ready for any sort of flights. Bumps, turbulence, me having to lug my luggage by myself, put it overhead, like I could not do any of that. So we actually ended up driving back, and my mom stayed with me for like a week. I want to say maybe like a weekend, a long weekend. And I had to go to RA training, which was like a 3-day thing, sitting down, doing stuff all day long. And y'all, when you just want to sleep, when you're just in so much pain, literally RA training is the last thing you want to do. RA training is the last thing you want to do when you're good. So now add in that you're not feeling good, literally the last thing. So I'm sitting there in pain. Thankfully it was like a comfy-ish couch. I mean, any college furniture is not comfy, but it wasn't like a wooden seat. So I couldn't eat much, so I can only eat liquids and stuff. So my mom went and got me some broccoli cheddar soup from Panera. Y'all, probably the worst thing we could have done for myself. Like, I don't know if it was the cheese, if it was the broccoli, it just caused so much more gas pain. I was literally in tears. Like, it was so bad. I was in tears. Like, the pain was in my back. It was not going. I needed my mom to kind of like massage it to get it was just air. Like I said, I was RA, and we had to do bulletins. We had to basically do new door tags for our new residents, and I just had no energy whatsoever. Thankfully I did one bulletin before I got to school, before I left for winter break, but I had another one that I need to finish. And I had to help, like my mom had to help me. Like I literally tried to cut stuff, like I'm cutting out paper, and that took everything out of me. Like I'll cut one piece of paper and I was done. I was so drained. They actually sent me home with like liquid oxy, and like when I tell you, that was a lifesaver. Like I would not be able to manage without that. And I made sure not to use it when I didn't need it, because when I started getting better, I was like, all right, let's put this away. So let's move on. So I was pretty weak for about a month and a half after. I remember keeping my braids in because I didn't have the strength to hold my arms up, to even take my braids out, to even think about doing my hair after that. My mom had obviously left at this point, so it was just like me fending for myself, and then also just like my friends pitching in where they can. But a lot of times there was nothing else for anyone to do for me. So yeah, probably by end of February I started getting a little bit better. I was wearing leggings and sweaters just because I didn't want anything too tight around my stomach. I didn't want anything hitting any of my incisions. I also, during this process, you drop weight quick. So a lot of my clothes was not fitting anymore. Probably March is when I started going back to the gym and working out. And yeah, so the weight was just like dropping, but it didn't really hit until like the summertime. And then I came back to school, and then that's when all the questions started. Literally by the time I came back for summer, I was down about 100 pounds. So that was down 100 pounds in like 9 months, which was crazy. So like, of course everyone's gonna have questions, and a lot of times people were going to my friends asking how did I lose the weight, and thankfully I got friends, they held me down. They was like, heck no. It's like, why would I tell you? Like, first of all, that's my friend, my loyalty lies with my friend. Second of all, why are you asking me instead of asking her? And thirdly, it's none of your business, simply. So of course people wouldn't have the guts to ask me how did I lose the weight, just because that is a weird question to ask. But ultimately when it did come down to it, people would ask. One, I would always say I didn't eat, I like eliminated carbs, which was not a lie, I did. And I worked out, which was not a lie, I did. There was no, like, I did not let the surgery and me not being able to eat really be the main thing that made me lose weight. And a lot of times people, like, if you look in these support groups that of people that got the surgery, sometimes they're not sticking to the plan, and you cannot lose weight as fast, and you can also not lose weight at all. So me changing my lifestyle completely, eating wise, exercise wise, was a big factor in this. So I think my fear in me revealing that I got weight loss surgery will if it would feel like I'm being discredited, which is not the case, which I'm going to talk a lot about in the next video, about the whole maintenance aspect of it, because I am 3.5 years out and I have maintained most of my weight loss, and that is not one big thing. That is not a easy thing to do. I just needed the surgery to kind of help me get there, because it's maintaining is quite hard. Literally, I want to say probably by January 2018 I was down to 147, which was over me losing 100 pounds. And at that point I was happy. I was like, wow, I did it. And looking back, I was way too small for my body frame and just what I was used to. So stay tuned for this next video where I talk about me maintaining, me finding me getting to my current weight and being comfortable with that weight, me gaining weight over my current weight, my goal weight, and trying to get back down. Because literally food is going to be a lifelong struggle that I have. Weight is going to be a lifelong struggle, but I am in control of it now, and I'm trying not to let go of that control. I'm trying not to be too obsessive. That's another thing, try not to be too obsessive about the scale, but I just really want to focus on me feeling good in the way that I look in my clothes and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It wasn't a secret, but kind of was a secret, so it's finally out. I did get weight loss surgery. That is what helped me, but it was not ultimately what is keeping me here. It jump-started my weight loss for me. It was a great aid, but now we're here working. Such a relief. Now I have to edit this video and actually post it. So please leave me any questions, any comments down below, and thanks for watching. Bye guys.